Thank you so much, Pastor, for allowing us to come tonight. What a blessing. Great to be here. So many people that we know and are dear friends of ours. So thank you. Just a moment, Kristen is going to be sharing a little bit of her testimony of what God is doing in her life. She's one of the young ladies at our Alpha Henson Women's Center over here in Lincoln. And so just a joy to be here. First off, before she comes, how many of you are familiar with Teen Challenge, David Wilkerson, Cross and Switchblade? There's a number of you. Great. Hopefully tonight you've received a brochure, give you some basic information about what Sacramento Valley Teen Challenge is about. We're doing in the area here. But allow me just to briefly share. As Pastor said, began in 1958. David Wilkerson, skinny country preacher, was called to go into New York City and reach out to teenagers like Nicky Cruz, lost in gang lifestyle. But before long, it began to be drug addicts like Sonny Arganzoni. Before long, it was any age, not just teenagers, and any life-controlling problem. So since those early days, it's become an international ministry. There are over 1,000 residential centers. These are at least year-long Christian discipling centers for people with life-controlling problems. There's over 200 residential centers in the United States. 1974, Teen Challenge began in the Sacramento area. Today, over 40 years later, there are 4 residential centers. We take care of over 90 men, women, and children at any one point in time. We take ages 18 and over in our centers. We send minors to other centers that just care for minors. We have a program that goes from 13 to 16 months in length. If I could leave you with one prayer request today. Right now we're in the process of building a 5th residential center. It's called the Happy Valley Women and Children's Center. It'll handle, when it's done, 64 women and children at a time. Can you say amen? So much need. It's going to be in the greater Redding areas where it's being built, Happy Valley. They don't call it Happy Valley because they're happy. It's because of all the drugs up there. So, good place for a teen challenge, right? Anyway, it will service this entire Sacramento Valley area. Right now, they are projecting the 1st of November. The construction will be done, and we are hoping and praying that the center will be open before Christmas Day. So if you'd like more information on that, keep us in your prayers, or more information on Teen Challenge, how we can help you. We want to be a resource for you and this church and your pastor. There is a booth in the back in the foyer where there's a lot more information. We'll be there to answer any questions you have. Glad to help and serve any way we can. The ladies won't let me go home tonight unless I make sure I tell you that they've also, at our women's centers, they hand make jewelry, and that is for sale tonight. So ladies, you can actually go shopping, buy jewelry, and support missions. Can't make it any easier than that, right? Also, if you'd like to know really the heart more about Teen Challenge, you hear one testimony tonight. Our Banquet of Miracles is coming up here in September and October. There's a few in this area. The tickets are absolutely free. And tonight at our booth, you can pick up your free tickets for any one of the number of events that are in this area. And you need a ticket to get in, but the tickets are free. So thank you so much. Look forward to connecting afterwards. Join with me in welcoming Christy.
Hi, my name's Kristen. I'm 25 years old. I was born and raised in Elk Grove. As a young kid, I remember living a pretty blessed and extremely well-cared-for life. Nothing was ever lacking. I'm the oldest of 2 brothers with 2 loving parents. I remember going to church at a young age. On the outside, my family had it all together. I was about 8 years old when I remember seeing the effects of the trials which eventually broke my parents apart. My dad took up permanent residence on the living room couch, and my mom seemed to be gone more often than usual. They both worked a lot of hours, and when they were home, our household became one of tension and anger. It wasn't a surprise by the time I was 13 that they sat the three of us down and said the word I was so afraid to hear: divorce. By this time, I had become pretty good at stepping in and out of the parent role. I shoved my own emotions in efforts to care for and protect my brothers from the pain. This began a course of rebellion in my life and marked the start of a string of bad relationships laced with emotional abandonment. I sought out my love and my self-worth from the people I was hanging around, especially male attention. I did much to fit in with what was popular, and I was always the responsible one, so it was okay. At 17, I met my high school sweetheart, and soon our families became very close. It was about a year into that relationship when he and some friends introduced us to taking Vicodin recreationally. I instantly loved it. One pill led to many and graduated quickly into harder things. Our relationship morphed into a hidden drug-seeking hell. A friend got concerned enough to tell our families, and they staged a by-the-book intervention. From the moment his family walked him out the door, they walked completely out of my life. I took the blame for our addiction. I ended up at a methadone clinic, and he ended up getting better. It wasn't long before inside I just gave up. I met a man at the clinic who introduced me to a drug I never knew before, and I began smoking crack cocaine. My addiction became a totally different animal. I left home, and within a year and a half, it turned what was left of my life upside down. I found myself in the hands of a volatile and abusive man and took to the streets, jobless, homeless, and without any source of family. And by the age 24, I ran my life so far into the ground I could no longer see a way out. It was by the grace of God that man went to jail. I could see I was finally facing a choice. I had literally nowhere else to run. I got down on my knees for the first time and cried out to God for help. I called my family, who was relieved to know I was alive, and that was the first time my mom suggested Teen Challenge. From that moment forward, it was like God took control of my life. I was still stubborn, but I called the program. When they said this is a 12 to 18 month discipleship program, I said, "You're nuts," and I hung up the phone. With the push of my family, I grudgingly came in the doors. Within 2 weeks, I took off. I was scared of the change, and I wasn't ready. After leaving, my life turned extremely dark. I plunged deeper, and it took less than 4 months before I was totally burned out. I knew it was time for me to listen to God's wake-up call, and this was his only answer. I turned every part of my life over to God and walked back through the doors. Since being back in the program, God has been my one and only focus. He has set me back on sure feet and used my stubborn streak to rekindle a determination in my heart. He's opened wide the possibilities of my life in front of me. He has given me a heart for his ministry and a special compassion for people in the depths of addiction. I'm learning what it means to walk in his will and that his plan and purpose is always better. More than anything else, he's showing me times throughout my life when I thought I was alone, I always had at least one person praying for me. I'm proof that he answers them. Thank you all for your prayers and support for us in this program. It reaches farther than you could ever imagine.